Hey, welcome everybody. I got full panel here today. We're going to be, I guess, talking some. I shouldn't cuss right off the bat, but I guess we'll wait. We'll wait a little bit. But yeah, so a little bit of an impromptu stream, sort of. I do have to real quick say a few things. I apologize if you can hear the fans in my room. My air conditioning is busted, so hopefully it's not too loud. So doing the best I can. Second, I do need to shout out Roman of the Empire. I screwed some stuff up with scheduling with him, so a little bit of a scheduling conflict. So thank you to him for being so understanding of my mess up. So thanks, Roman of the Empire. Appreciate you, brother. And we'll go on from there. So I got some awesome lads with me here today. Pips from the Whitecloaks. You're the one that initially had asked me if we should do this. So how you doing, Pips?
Doing good. Well, I'm doing well. I'm not really doing good, but yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to looking through some real terrible Rings of Power stuff, and sounds like Salty's got the goods on the global scores. So I'm curious to see what he's got.
Yeah, no, that sort of popped that on us right before we're going live. So I'm gonna be glad to see it. It's just gonna be very interesting. And then so thank you for that. And then we got Amanda Manetheren below. Thank goodness you made it, Nate. We weren't sure if you're gonna make it, but you made it in the nick of time. So how you doing, man?
I'm living the dream. I'm busy, but that's all right. Life is good, and life is good with alcohol.
There you go. It wouldn't be one of my streams if you guys weren't half in the toilet afterwards. So
One of these days,
of-
I'm going to get to drink with you guys. I mean, I've known you for how long, and we have yet to sit down and have an adult beverage together, and it breaks
be
my
awesome.
little heart. It breaks my little heart.
I'll be drinking my Pepsi or water, but I have other ways.
Last night I had the equivalent of 4 beers in one mug. So
You did.
Oh my
He was drinking that big dunkel thing.
that was during the D&D stream. That's awesome.
yeah. Das Boot made an appearance.
oh yeah, oh he did.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we don't want to, stop introduction until we get to the one and the only Salty Texas C. Thank you, sir, for showing up. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. You and I talk so much during the day, and same thing with Nathan and I. It's just like we might as well be on camera instead of just like texting or tweeting or being backstage for each other. It's like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And it's like, why don't we monetize this? Instead of just like, But
somewhere, right?
Yeah, I debated coming on the show because I've reached a critical mass with this, with the Rings of Power. It was probably a couple of weeks ago. And I wanted to wait to see what it did, and then it did the unthinkable, which was it took what tiny little sliver of dignity, a tiny little sliver of dignity, and it just pissed all over it, set itself on fire, and ran screaming and jumped out of a window while saying political messages. And it's
it pulled a
who
Denethor.
is this made for? Who is this made for? And we will look, because like I went to every global source I could find that Amazon has, and I've just pulled the latest numbers off of it. So we should talk about that.
Well, let's just start right there. So I'm going to share let me share the American one here. I don't want to click on the House of Dragon stuff yet. Let me make sure I don't screw this up. There we go. I can YouTube. All right. So just looking straight at here, you can see it's trending 23. Whoopity doo. It's got 20 million views, 31K upvotes, almost 300. We'll say almost 300 just because it sounds better. Almost 300K downvotes.
Yeah.
And so 272K downvotes. But real quick before we get started, I do want to chat. I didn't forget about you. I promise. We got Alexander, my channel member. Welcome. Thank you for coming, my friend. Appreciate you. Press B for Bellfire. Saw you over at the in the rewatch. Thank you for showing up. Lyle Hammock, as always, sir. Good to see you. Appreciate you coming to hang out for a little bit before work. We got the salty guy. I don't know who he is. Jaden Hamilton, always the first in. Thank you for coming, and of course my new mod Easton. I don't know how or why or what problem we're gonna get from that, but yeah, he wanted to be a mod, so he's a mod. So hopefully he doesn't get me canceled. So okay, so just wanted to say thank you all for showing up. I appreciate you all. So. But yeah, so that is like I think every trailer has been a massive ratio. Is that I don't think that's wrong to say, is it?
No, the original one from back in February is almost at 2 million downvotes.
Yeah.
2 million?
And
Yeah.
that's the
Holy
one that they
blood.
just kept on deleting and deleting and deleting comments, downvotes from
Yeah.
disappearing. So that's like that number has been meddled with, right? Like
So
That's
it's the
true.
2 million downvotes, and that's not even the worst of it because they've been deleting stuff. That is
Yes.
crazy bad.
Yeah, and keep in mind, even with the extension we have on Chrome, is that the number of downvotes that are showing on screen are a fraction of what the actual ones are. And depending, and this is my belief, I cannot prove this, but this is my belief, and I think it's actually a fact, is that when you're a large enough player like a streaming service, you're going to be able to control the information around the likes and dislikes of your video to a certain point, which is why they took the dislike button away in the first place a couple of months ago. We all remember what that was like. Now we can see backstage what our true dislike ratios are. Like I've had videos that people didn't like when I did a Batman thing on Pattinson. It was like one of the lowest rated videos I'd ever had. It was like 65%. I got, people came after me, didn't like the fact that I didn't like Pattinson as Batman. It happens. I was still right. But you can see that number in the studio. But that number doesn't always appear, even with the Chrome extension, if you go to my channel and you look at the downvotes. Now, that is most certainly occurring with Amazon with this, especially considering that the United States trailer, the one that dropped, what was it, yesterday or the day before, has 10 million views. 10 million views. Now, look at the numbers on the screen. Do we really think only 31,000 people hit the upvote button and only 272,000 out of 10 million people hit the downvote button? We've been talking about this stuff since the first trailer from the Super Bowl. It's the same bullshit. Surprise, here we are again.
Yeah, no, it's I mean they show it time and time again that they are just screwing with stuff, right? Everything is not what it seems, and they're just trying to be sneaky, and they think they're getting I don't know how many times they're going to do this till they figure out it's not helping. If you remove downvotes, people are still going to downvote. It's not, and everybody's going to find out, and they're keeping track of these things, right?
Yeah,
there are a lot of internet sleuths out there that are keeping their eyes on this stuff for exactly this reason, is because they know they're going to do it, right? So
yeah. You want to see what the rest of the world thinks of this?
What do you guys want? I would love to see it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Me too.
There's a number that no one really talks about. I think we should go to that one first, and I will stop talking and share my screen because I may know how to YouTube, probably not, but let me see.
I don't think any of us
Here
do.
we go. So I think you've got it.
Yes, sir. Got it.
So this is from Japan. And I wish I had Gray here, but this is the same trailer. I'll confirm it for you. It's the same trailer. Same trailer. Only 8,000 views.
Oh my God.
Wait for it though. 8,000 views, only 80 upvotes.
Wow. August 23rd. My goodness.
This was what posted. This is as of 10 minutes ago, only 160 downvotes. Do we believe this? This is Amazon Prime Japan.
There's
no way. Amazon Prime Japan, that thing you got right there has what, 127,000 subs to that channel?
180,000 people.
Okay.
180,000 people.
177. There you go. And only 8,000 views on this thing? No.
Yeah.
There's no damn way.
Yeah.
Especially because on YouTube, a view is counted if anyone watches more than 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that 177,000 subscribers and only 8,000 even watched the first, didn't even let us scroll through 30 seconds? No.
Yeah, so that's Japan, and that again is as of 10 minutes before the show. I will jump over here. Now, the next one is my favorite Amazon site. That is, of course, Amazon Brazil, the one that
Yes.
put 2 strikes against my channel because I dared show the video that they had publicly listed on YouTube.
The anus
Now,
of
let
Poder.
me,
Yes.
yeah, the anus of Poder.
I
Yes,
know.
I am.
I know. Nathan loves putting the anus of Poder all over his channel.
Yeah,
So
he's all about that anus of Poder.
That's right.
Bear with me. Damn it,
Y'all
I've got too
nasty.
many windows open. Shoot.
Rings of Power is the brown eye of the Tolkien verse.
I mean,
Oh
it
shit!
is
I
aptly
lost it.
named, but
I'll have to find it. But what I can do is I can share with you. I must have closed that window by accident. I'll share with you the UK, which to me I think is even a more critical barometer of
Mhm.
success and acceptance. So this is Amazon UK, has 615,000 subscribers. Of that, nearly half of their subscribers watched this video in theory. 4,400 upvotes to 35,000 downvotes.
Man, I mean, look, it's like so. So I think the thing that's interesting now we'll say that's 3, right? So and we haven't done this. I'm sorry, what was this? This is UK. Okay,
This is
so you got
the UK.
UK, you got US, you got Japan.
Japan.
Now, Japan, when the numbers are extremely low, but the ratio is still the same. The
Yes, it
ratio
is.
to up to down is still almost exactly the same. If you notice
Yep.
all these,
Hold
which is what I
on.
think I find very, very interesting.
I got my buddies. in Brazil. Hold on. I'm gonna
All
stop
right, cool.
sharing a screen.
Yes,
Yeah, these
sir.
are my buddies. These are the ones that tried to take my channel out, and I got 2 strikes on because they.
And beat it, by the way. Beat it.
Yeah.
Tried and failed. That's the important thing.
Here we go. This is O Senor des Años, Os Años de Poder. This is a Amazon Brazil has 1.25 million subscribers. This video was seen 252,000 times with only 6,000 upvotes to 16,000 downvotes.
That's crazy. I mean, the ratio is a little better, I guess, but the fact that there's 1.25 million and only 250,000 views, that's so. Do you think that's tampering or interest waning?
Yes.
So both. Okay. I mean,
I think in some cases the answer is both. I do, and across the board, I think with the American one, most certainly, both.
Yeah.
I think in the UK one, both. I don't see any other way with the Japanese one. I honestly don't know. I don't know what kind of if it's a cultural. I don't know enough to speak to it intelligently, but there's certainly something squirrely with this. It's been squirrely since the Super Bowl trailer. Here we are. They inexplicably dropped the Evanescence karaoke version of Warrior Gladriel, who's apparently going to have a sexual tension with a made up character who I'm pretty sure is Sauron, and it's like. And then come on, that was Gandalf. I don't give a shit what anybody says. That hippie looking dude, that's Gandalf. It's just like this is not Tolkien. Now you can like this show. You can like this show if this is the best thing you think it's the best fantasy show ever made. I would love to feel that way. I do, but you can't call this Tolkien, and you cannot put Lord of the Rings in front of it because it's neither one of those things.
Well, yeah, no, I agree. So I want to address this comment by Lyle Hammock real quick. I'm having trouble getting my super stats, but we're working. So over under on Rings of Power beating House of the Dragon views. I say yes. House of the Dragon got 10 million views. I see. I don't think there's any disputing that. I think Rings of Power was going to smash the view count of House of the Dragon.
Yeah,
no problem. One that HBO. I mean, half of Prime's numbers come from people with Prime accounts because they want to get stuff shipped fast to them. 2, this is a global phenomenon, whereas everybody's going to be watching Rings of Power. Whether it's to hate watch it, whether it's because they want to like it, like or hoping it's going to be good, like you. Whether you're just watching it to make. Every YouTuber on the planet will probably make something related to Rings of Power when it first comes out. and that will be, and that's what, and I think I think I saw there's an article or two out there that will be Amazon's barometer for success on this. Is they're going to go, well, look, everybody watched it. And that's the thing that's going to be sad, because they're going to call it a victory, and we all know they're going to call it a victory, whether it's bad, good, sideways, or whatever. Because
just like Wheel of Time.
Yeah,
Just
because
like Wheel of
people
Time.
watched. Oh, definitely not in the volume they're going to watch this. Everybody's going to watch this show because everybody's talking about it, and everybody's going to be trying, including probably me. I'm not free of that. I think we're, you got to go with the tide, right? So I think it was always going to beat House of the Dragon. Now, and I understand, House of the Dragon, it's on HBO. It's a highly, I mean, we were just talking to Nathan. He doesn't even have a subscription. There's a lot of people that don't have subscriptions to
I don't.
HBO
I
Max
watch it with you. I watch it with you
because there's
live.
Frankly, there's not a lot on HBO Max to watch. I mean, let's
Yeah.
be real. I watch Primal, that's good. There's a few. I watch Succession, that's good, and then movies I can watch
really
on anything
shit DC content.
Yeah.
Also,
right.
I want to shout out Gray from Wakazashi's Tea House. He's here before he goes to work. Hail to you, Gray. Gray, we did just show the numbers for Amazon Japan, and it was astonishingly low views. I mean, I don't want to make you the designated representative of all things Japanese, but is it really a big deal? Does anybody care about Tolkien? Is anybody talking about Tolkien? Are they marketing the Rings of Power over there in Japan the same way they would in the United States? Because that's what I'm curious about. Are they doing the same marketing crap that they're doing here over in other cultures where that may or may not be the best approach in doing this? Because it feels like it. Because the cast of this was in India talking about how great it was to be in India and how great it was to have representation of all these cultures. They're in India talking about representation. That's how clueless Amazon is in marketing this.
Yeah, no.
So,
and I know Pips. I think Pips let me in on the fact that you didn't like House of the Dragon. We'll get to that if we're able to get to it.
okay.
And that's fine. I get it's one of those, and that's a discussion to be had, like and dislike and why. I get all that, but from what the fantasy standpoint for fantasy shows, for somebody that doesn't know the source material, it is leagues and leagues and leagues better of what. If I could get a Wheel of Time show that looked something like that first episode of House of the Dragon, I'd get it every day, twice on Sunday, and as much as I could, because I don't know, I feel it was that much better for me. Now everybody's not the same as me. We all acknowledge that, right? So I see Zach showed up. How you doing, Zach? And of course Wakazashi, Tea House, Gray. Thank you both for being here. I appreciate you. And Miss Balefire, I'm always up for the discussion. I mean, I don't expect everybody to like everything I like. Otherwise, I think we're the real non-echo chamber here. I like to say.
Pips dropped some subscriber numbers, and why don't you state those, sir? Because I think that's a good basis for a lot of our conversations. We can all say it sucks and it's shit and it's woke and every other channel is going to be doing that same damn thing. But doing research, just a little bit of research in quantifying things, maybe that adds some value that some people will find value in,
Yeah, so that's why I brought it up. The idea that this is an apples to apples comparison is just never really going to be the case, right? So Amazon has 200 million Prime subscribers globally versus HBO, which only has approximately 75, I think like 76 million subscribers, right? So 200 million versus 76 million subscribers. So you're talking about 2.5 times the subscriber base. So when Lyle pointed out like, hey, 20 to 25, it might actually, like, that would be possible. I personally think that I would be a little bit surprised if it actually goes that far. I think that while Amazon has a ton of subscribers, I think that a lot of them are people who just have it for the free shipping. So I would say that I expect Prime to probably get somewhere between 15 and 20 on like the high end in terms of millions of views on like opening weekend, right? And I would say that they will definitely trumpet that as a victory. They will say, bigger than House of the Dragon, right?
Oh,
when
yeah.
you think about actual engagement with their subs, it's not going to be the same percentage of engagement. And ultimately, the real question is going to be week over week viewer numbers. Like anybody who actually looks at ratings, it's week over week viewer numbers. And I think that, yeah, sorry, if you got a point, Steve.
No, Nate. Well, Nate wanted to say something. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's a really good point because Amazon doesn't talk about their subscriber
They
views
do not.
of Wheel of
Bingo.
Time after episode 3. It
They
hit
talked about
episode
opening weekend.
that first
I
that
was
first
going to bring
weekend,
that up. Yeah.
boom, and then everything went radio silent.
Yeah.
And they still try and call it a success.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've actually done a deep dive on sort of the data numbers on our channel, looking at kind of week over week, subscriber numbers, the rating drop over time. So we did a rolling 100 average over time, and you can see that like so many people watched the first week and they touted it as this big success, and then nobody tuned in for the next week, and then really nobody tuned in after episode 4.
Oh yeah,
right?
you could see it. You could see it.
Well,
So that's the test.
There's some shifty stuff going on there too, because they talk about opening week, right?
Yeah.
And viewer watch minutes, right? Over the opening week. Well, that's 3 episodes, right? That's
the problem.
Sure. That's going to be 2 episodes. So you're going to have this many. You're going to have this many minutes watched on opening weekend or opening weekend, opening day, whatever. Well, that's 2 hours compared to 1 hour of another show or something like that.
And they will count. They will count as if you even watch it for 3 seconds. There's nothing to say that they're not going to count that as the full 2 hours or 2.5 hours of view.
And we know that they
did that with Wheel of Time. Sorry, go ahead, Pips.
And we know that they definitely don't try and filter out sort of unique viewer stuff, right? And that's something that is really the real metric. And we know that they have those numbers internally, right? The only reason that they wouldn't share those numbers is because they're embarrassing, right? Like that would be the big win. That's what every other social media website uses is daily active unique viewers, daily active unique users, right? So the fact that they don't even try to do that, they try to obfuscate with these minutes watched and multi-episode and like all this other stuff, and then they just kind of sweep it under the rug, never talk about week 2, week 3, week 4 views. It just goes to show that they're just churning out content with no real care for whether or not it's any good, because they just need you on their platform to then add things to your shopping cart.
Yep. Let me reach out to Presby for Balefire. He asked the question. Oh wait, what is Gray saying? What is Gray saying?
Oh no, well, just he said the performance of the House of the Dragon. But which comment are you looking at there, Salty?
No, it was Presby for Balefire. He was asking what WT. Sorry,
you're good.
Sorry,
gendering. We're biologists. Go ahead.
Not a biologist.
What does she have to say? She says, WTF is the story for Rings of Power. Does anybody know? Yes, I do. I know that it's written by Payne and McKay, that it is loosely based upon about this many pages from the appendices of The Lord of the Rings, and that it has over 24 made-up characters who have nothing to do with Tolkien's world, whose naming conventions have nothing to do with Tolkien's world. And there's a smattering of characters that Tolkien wrote about that Payne and McKay have reimagined. And if you have watched the trailers and you know the writings of Tolkien, you can kind of infer as to what we're seeing. Now, I'm going to say something, and I've thought about how to say this for a while, and I don't mean to take your show over, Steve, but
you're okay.
Do we really care? Do we really care about viewership? Are we going to have an argument about, oh, look, The Rings of Power is so much better than The House of the Dragon because it got 25 million or 30 million views? Who cares? I don't
It's never
care.
been an argument.
No,
I think the only reason that I care is because
no, and I'm not fighting with you guys. I'm going somewhere with this. Just I'll give it back. Okay. Why I'm saying that is, let's say this thing gets 45 million views. Let's say it does. And let's say it sustains a high level through the whole season. Is that a win? Does that prove a point? Because what is this doing to Tolkien? Because this is where I've come right now, and this is why I've stopped making videos dumping on this, because this is not Tolkien. And that, for me, is where the argument stops. It's where it stopped back in January. So this thing could blow House of the Dragon out of the water. Don't care. It actually breaks my heart that it does. Because potentially you're talking about a generation of fans, people who have never maybe seen the Peter Jackson movies, let alone picked up a book from J.R.R. Tolkien. And the first thing they're going to see is this complete destruction and deconstruction and intersectional feminist version of something that has nothing to do with the writings of Tolkien. Now, if 35 million people watch that, or 55 million people watch that, is that a good thing? Because this is the place where I've got, what are we fighting about? Because to me, this thing is a disaster, and it has been from the beginning. And the more that comes out, the more poisonous and terrible this is. That's how I can't take this shit seriously. This is something we should be disgusted by. You know, you want it to be good?
Uh-oh.
I don't think it's going to be good, and the reason why is because it is not Tolkien. You want a good generic fantasy show? Maybe it'll be a good generic fantasy show. But think about the damage it is doing to those things that we say we love. Because that's the place where I've gotten. I don't know. You guys tell me if I'm an asshole. Because I don't understand some of these conversations around this. I just don't.
First,
I think you're 100% right.
sorry for I screwed that up. Sorry for interrupting your run on
Nobody
there. Sorry.
cares
Go
what I
ahead.
have to
Go
say.
ahead, Pitt.
Nobody.
Oh, stop it. Go ahead,
I
Pitt.
think you're 100% right. The only reason I care about the ratings, I think, is that at a certain point, if we want better things to be made, the companies need to learn what the customer wants.
Agreed.
And if they're lying to themselves and they're lying to the public, then it just signals that we're just ready. We're just in for more and more of the same. So
Yeah.
that's the part where I think it's worth talking about it, because it signals the future.
Yeah.
But the point that
Yeah.
you're making about it not being Tolkien, I just want to go over to the IMDb page for series writing credits. J.R.R.
I've
Tolkien.
been there
2
many
episodes.
times. Yeah.
2
Based on.
episodes. Patrick McKay, 3 episodes. John Payne, 3
Because
episodes.
it's the story
So-
J.R.R. Tolkien couldn't write.
Yeah, so Patrick McKay and John
Fuckers.
Payne each wrote 3 episodes. Tolkien allegedly wrote
Based
2.
on.
So
It's based on.
It's true, based on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you even want to try and say that this is Tolkien's story, just go to their own freaking story written by page, and it'll tell
And
you that.
look who wrote it. Go another layer deeper, Pips, and look at who the writers are for this show. The writers from Star Trek Discovery, who were the editorial content writers for Star Trek Discovery, wrote this show. A screenwriter for Toy Story 4, a writer for Hawaii Five-0 on CBS. This is who wrote the novel that Tolkien couldn't write. This is why I'm upset, and this is why I've stepped back from this whole thing. And I'm like, the more eyes that are on this, the worse it is. And the more it opens the door for other transnational groups that may have acquired the rights to these things to do whatever they want to it. Because precedent has been set. You know?
Yeah, and that's why the viewership numbers aren't really going to matter, because even if they were to go down, I don't think these companies really give 2 craps about whether or not the viewership count is up there. They just want the Tolkien, or they want the Robert Jordan, or they want the Game of Thrones. They want that marketability that the name comes with externally. And as long as they have that, the viewership the levels can tank. I don't think they're paying attention at all, not a bit.
I'm torn on that, right? Because I think we've seen recently that Netflix has learned that it cares, right? HBO, I think, has signaled that it cares. The 2, streaming services that their only business is streaming, they have to care, right? Because they will go bankrupt if they can't sell subscriptions. Amazon, though, my concern is that Amazon might be exactly what you're talking about. Amazon literally might not care. That it might just be, we have this other thing to get our Prime users, our Prime subscribers, to spend more time on our website, to buy more other things. And if they have some other metric that is just the average Prime account that watches at least 1 video per week spends an extra 3% in their monthly purchases, or some whatever bullshit metric that is, if they have that metric behind the scenes, then they might literally not care about anything other than minutes of content available for view.
There's no consequences. If there's no consequences, no one will change their behavior. Like if you're driving drunk and you run into a busload full of preschoolers and nothing happens to you, What are you going to do tomorrow night? You're going to buy another car, get drunk, and run into another busload of preschoolers because there's no consequences.
It's extra points. They're small. Extra points.
Amazon is so big they can run into all nothing's going to happen to them. Nothing. It is happening to Netflix. I don't know if the tide is turning. I saw some interesting news coming out of Warner Brothers with who they hired to be who their next Kevin Feige was, and I would say disappointment is an understatement. But, again, this is Hollywood. We'd like to think that they understand consequences. We'd like to think that maybe we're winning. Are we? I don't know. Maybe?
Yeah. Well, maybe? The counter to the argument would be that Netflix is learning, hopefully, with some of the stuff that they've put out there. But for everything they've put out there, then you get Sandman. And those are the big shows that they're trying to pump out in terms of trying to get their stuff going. So they sit there and have season 4 of Stranger Things, and it gets acclaim across the board from most people. And then, Sandman comes in and ruins all of that goodwill.
Well, there's a delay.
Yeah.
On top of that, too,
there's a production delay, right? So it's possible that, all of those things are built up in the pipeline, a year ago or a year and a half ago, before their stock crashed, before they lost subscribers, before the sort of, the lesson was learned. And they might just not have had the sort of, intestinal fortitude to Batgirl Sandman.
Well, a lot of money involved too. Exactly. I mean, it's hard to just just shit all over it. Yeah. Real quick, I just want to thank Zach for becoming a Dragon Sworn. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah. There was something. Where was it? I don't know. I lost track of it. But and then it's interesting because now you got. I mean, Netflix has some good shows. I mean, they got Stranger Things 4, and then Cobra Kai is about to come out. Everybody seems to love Cobra Kai, so it's like, I don't know. It's one of those. I'm going to take your mod hammer away for being gone, Easton. Sorry, just had to say that. But Gray is right. Story, characters, performance.
He's just clicking the links that he should be blocking.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to point out the Cobra Kai thing. So one of my co-hosts on Whitecloaks, Alex, pointed this out in our last rewatch that toxic masculinity makes some fucking great stories.
Yes, it does.
And if Hollywood hasn't been able to figure out that, they didn't watch anything in the 80s. And Cobra Kai,
William Zabka is freaking awesome in that show.
It is fantastic.
It's so good. It's so real quick because Zach's mentioned it and Pips had it queued up. The thing that I just played over Salty. Let's this real quick scene real quick.
Oh, it's bad.
Do it
real quick. We're gonna hit it.
To court me proper.
2 weeks at most.
It was 5.
You're lying. She's lying. She ain't playing coy now. But she was a moon-eyed girl in love from the moment we met.
Very happy match.
I'm sorry. I just got sick a little bit. What are we talking about this show for? Why are we?
I'm not drunk enough to watch this yet.
No, I mean literally. From the very beginning, in February with the Vanity Fair article, it was carefully crafted so that only the things that looked like Tolkien were teased. We were given little snapshots, and then we were told how the showrunners couldn't imagine the Second Age without hobbits. And so now we got Harfoots, but they're not hobbits, but they're hobbits, but they're Harfoots. And now every successive rollout has shown us it has gone farther and farther and farther away from what I think many of us see to be Tolkien, until we get the Evanescence music video with Warrior Gladriel, who's apparently a hoe bag and trying to bone Halbrand because that's what the kids want. And there's virtually no Tolkien. And this is the problem I'm having is we're dignifying the show as if it is Tolkien. It is not. If you're calling this Middle Earth, I can't have a conversation with you because it's not.
Well,
they're trying to convince us it is. This is not Middle Earth. Sorry, Nathan, go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine, man. But subverting expectation. What the plot is really about is that Galadriel is trying to get with Halbrand so she can take the cock ring of power.
I don't know. So is it really subverting expectations in 2022 when they do exactly what we've been saying they were going to do for the last freaking year? Like,
None of this
it
is a
is.
surprise.
It's
None
like
of
we
this is a
wrote the script.
surprise.
Well, it's like,
It's
no,
like
no,
we looked
yeah.
at it.
well, just real quick, because it's like, like we had all these people, like, because it looks like from the latest trailer, it looks like big surprise, Gandalf is in the freaking show, right? And it's like we
No problem
like
with that. No,
all-
no problem. No, no big deal. Do whatever you want. Go ahead.
well, right, because it's not right, but it's just like you got people. It's like, oh, Gandalf. No, we're not going to touch Gandalf. They're not going to touch Gandalf. No, Gandalf. No, Gandalf. Gandalf. And lo and behold, there's Gandalf.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's just like it doesn't matter what they say. They're going to do whatever the fuck they want.
We'll just be lucky if we get to the end and there's not a Saruman of the many colors.
Oh, yeah, we know what that'll do.
the magical dream cloak. It's going to happen.
Hey.
The problem with this is no, and I've said this before. Whatever thing we can come up with that sounds ridiculous, right? They're going to go well beyond that. We saw it with Wheel of Time. And here's the question: Rafe Judkins or Payne and McKay? Who is the bigger destroyer of franchises? We have yet to find out. We
will. I mean,
and I have also said this for 6 months. Wheel of Time, within 8 seconds, 20 seconds, completely told me what I was going to get. Was in no way Robert Jordan's world at all. Rings of Power, before it has even started, has told us all repeatedly that this is not Tolkien. And we're still pretending that somehow this is Middle Earth. It is not. There's so much I want to say. There's so much I want to say about what's going on in the world and things we're being told about how we're not going to have enough food, we're not going to have energy, that we have to accept this, that we have to get jabbed with that. And now we have to accept this. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not accepting this. And I am pissed off. I am done. You can keep this bullshit. I am not playing along. Just because you keep lying to me over and over and over again doesn't mean I'm believing it. And I'm sorry I'm hot, but I am done with this. I am done with it.
I actually have a quick question for you, because obviously you're hot, and that's, dude,
yeah,
it's all good, right?
So
but
hot
I'm just
right now.
done.
So hot right now. Yeah, no. But I guess so just to transition, obviously. Well, I don't know really transition, but I have a question for you. Is that, and obviously we have someone in the chat that doesn't feel the same about that show, but House of the Dragon. Oh no, it's fine. It's
no,
good.
I mean it's fine. It's just I think we're having somebody's having an argument because they want to argue, and I'm not arguing.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm segueing into something else.
Yeah.
Is that why you think, for all the things you said, is that why you think we liked House of the Dragon so much? Because it was a show we could watch and believe that we were in a fantasy world, and it was believable to us. Is that why?
Yes.
Is that why? Even if
yes,
now, and I will go there, and it's one of those. It's like, I don't know the source material. I know that's what some people are like. I think that's what Crispy for Bellfire, why she doesn't like it. I think, which I guess it's fine. I haven't read it, so I'm not coming from that angle. But from a person that watches fantasy, it was a good fantasy show, and it's one of those. It's what I think that. I've said it a million times off stream. I'll say it a million times on stream. If my Wheel of Time show looked anything like that House of the Dragon show, I would probably forgive some of the story beats if they had to segue into something different to make it work. The problem is they didn't put any time or effort or anything to try and make it feel real, make it look real, make any type of story changes that they might have been forced to do it or might have had to add something that make the plot make sense in a TV setting. They just did whatever the fuck they wanted. Now, I don't know if that's the case from the Fire and Blood story to this. All I know is that it put a cohesive hour of television together that I was interested in, and it made me feel it made me feel good to watch it, and I enjoyed it.
To answer your question, remember Rafe Judkins had free reign to do whatever he wanted to do with the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
Remember what Payne and McKay told us at San Diego Comic-Con?
I don't.
They were free to do whatever they wanted with the little bit of source material they had.
No, he actually claimed that they had access to the rights for everything, didn't he? He changed
Yeah,
the story. He said,
they
"I had rights
did.
to everything,
They
and
did,
I
but
chose this."
they in this case they said Amazon just let us write, and we were so excited to write that. If you want to grab that Word doc that I have up there,
Yeah,
this is the
I saw you shared it.
criteria.
Wasn't true.
This is the criteria, and I talked about it on my Tuesday
Yeah.
show that I am judging shows on. Story is number one. Number two, if it is from a well-known source, is it faithful? If it does not get past that one, the rest of it is completely irrelevant to me. You know, it just is. It just is. Does it have a 3-act play, the hero's journey? Is there conflict and growth, casting, compelling characters, pacing, cinematography, score, and soundtrack? And finally, is it a platform for ideology? That's the reason why I liked House of the Dragon, because it satisfied my requirements across the board in one episode.
Yeah.
To be a successful episode of television. With the Rings of Power, it is a completely different story, because they are reinterpreting characters that are very well detailed and described in a way that these characters, by any definition, whether that be from Christopher Tolkien, whether that be from Tom Shippey, whether that be from other Tolkien scholars, like legitimate ones, not the ding-dong from the University of Glasgow with a gender studies degree. If they are not acting like these characters, and more importantly, in the case of Gladriel, she wasn't there, her brother didn't die that way, and there are no effing wizards in the Second Age, and oh yeah, there's no effing hobbits in the Second Age. Why are we pretending that this all works? You know, like where is your breaking point as a fan? As someone, we all talk about wanting to defend our fandoms and defending Tolkien. These are wonderful platitudes. But what is your line where you actually go, I am morally outraged by this? You know? And that's the place where I've gotten. That's why I made the Fire of Fandom series, guys, was because I'm not going to be lied into believing yet another thing that is blatantly untrue. Ever again. Sorry.
No, you're good. Dude, stop apologizing, man. It's
So,
one of those. Go
I'm
ahead.
just done, dude. I'm
If
done.
I can kind of point something out, I think to the question you're asking about why is it that we keep on having to do the same thing? Why do we keep on having to accept these premises? Why do we keep on having to answer these questions? I think the easy answer is that if you're on the defensive, then you are always fighting a battle on the ground of your enemy's choosing, right? So in the culture war, if you want to call it that, right? Like they get to continue to decide which IP, they get to say, no, this year it's Tolkien that we're going to shove in your face and just try and shit all over and do whatever. And they get to pick what the fight is going to be over.
Oh yeah, and it's a rigged game. It's a rigged game. Yeah. And guess what's next?
You're left only responding to what they give you.
And guess what's next? Video games.
Oh yeah.
BioShock. God of War. 2022 was the year of fantasy. They described it like that back in January. Well, here we are. You know? And God help us, we're going to get that Dungeons and Dragons movie. We're going to get some other stuff like that, but the video games are next. And no, Lyle, I'm not talking about you. I've been doing this for 2 years, and I disagree with you on some things. I'm just in a place where after everything that I've seen and that trailer, I can't even make videos about how bad that trailer is because I don't know what to say. It seems so obvious to me what this is. We've seen it over and over and over again. You know?
Well, and to address Lyle too, so he says if it's bad, I'll admit it and apologize. No one wants you to apologize, Lyle. You're allowed to have your perspective and things. You can apologizing and saying you're wrong, you were wrong on something are two completely different things. We don't want you to apologize. And if you like it, then great, you like it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But we're not going to sit there and from our perspective and sit there and say, well, this is going to be a pile of shit because you're squatting over the table.
Yeah.
Mean goes.
I mean, the other thing too is there's a different context with people who are in chat versus people who have had YouTube channels for years and created thousands of hours of video on this and done thousands of hours of research. our opinions are not any more valid. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that we have worked really hard to be objective in my case and present a lot of information. And if I disagree with somebody, I disagree with Steve, Nathan, Pips all the time. All the time. You know, it's just I'm not having a conversation with one person in chat. I'm having a conversation with people on this panel, you know, and you know, we take suggestions from the chat, but this panel is talking about this, and we will take suggestions. No one is attacking anybody, you know.
Is Rafe Judkins really doing the God
Yes,
of
he
War?
is. Yes,
Oh
he
my
is.
God.
All of this.
Oh
Do you
God.
see where it's going? Do you see
Well,
why I'm
and
upset?
yeah,
You know?
well, it's like, well, and you know what? I feel like I did hear that because I watched that terrible Uncharted movie just because I had to take a look for myself, because in that movie I don't even know Uncharted, and that movie was just well, we'll just say it wasn't very good. It wasn't well directed, and it wasn't well. It just was like a bad version of Indiana Jones. And
That was the Rafe Judkins one, right?
yeah. So, but see, here's the thing, though. So now, yeah, big surprise, right?
Shocked. I'm
So,
shocked.
but here's the thing. So, right. So we're just talking about, we're now in the it's going to be, and I agree with Salty 100%. We're going into the era of video games. Okay. And you know, I think there's still going to be some fantasy. There's going to be quite a bit of fantasy coming from the tail end, because you know we haven't got to really talk about it on this channel yet. But Sanderson's going to have a huge year next year.
Yeah.
He's already started. I'm going to make a video about something that I just found out about, that I'm sure everybody else has already talked about or knows about, but I just want to talk about it. And but Sanderson's going to have a huge year, and he's all about fantasy. So, and he's got a million IPs to use, and we'll see what happens with those. Hopefully he holds on to them and does something that's respectful of his own work. Who knows? We haven't had any of that yet. Somebody who's actually written and made these things, actually helming his own works. So we'll see it. We'll see where that ends up. But Rafe Judkins, the idiot that he is, does an Uncharted movie for Sony, right? And now, what is God of War? God of War is a Sony product.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you see how this works?
Is Rafe Judkins now the go-to guy for all these Sony properties? Is he going to destroy every single one of these Sony properties? Probably yes, because if that's the first two Sony productions, he's got them both. Sorry, go ahead, Nate.
He's probably trying to position himself as the Marvel guy for Sony,
right,
and to have all a big IP, to have an epic set of movies all tied together. And the Sony own MonsterVerse? Who owns that?
What, the Dark Universe thing? The one that failed, Dark Universe?
No. I think there's the MonsterVerse is. I think they tried that. But
oh, you mean the Godzilla verse type thing? That isn't the
MonsterVerse?
I don't know. I'm not sure who owns it. I think, isn't it Warner?
MonsterVerse is Universal owns MonsterVerse,
that's it.
And that's actually going to streaming on Apple, and the first one will be Godzilla. It's going to be done by Matt Fraction and Kelly Sue. If you don't like my politics, don't buy my book, Taconic. That's your first MonsterVerse installment. And the reaction to that was for somebody else, I forget who it is, they're going to be doing a King Kong series, because they're grabbing onto all these things blindly. They're just and they're recycling people like Rafe Judkins. Guess what? Payne and McKay, they already have another thing coming out. I think they got a superhero movie or something like that comes out after this. It was announced back in February or March. I did a video on it. So these guys, because they had nothing on the resume, that had to be put on the resume. You see? Because they really only had an uncredited writer role in Star Trek Beyond.
That's
and
the problem with these floaters. They just freaking won't leave the damn bowl. They just keep seeing the same thing over and over and over again. And it's shit every time you see it. And we're supposed to act like we're shocked.
We got some great takes. You guys in chat are on fire. Killer 8000 says the Sapkowski Witcher book series was an outright plagiarism of Michael Moorcock's Elrock series. I have all those books behind me.
Well,
I don't entirely agree, but I don't disagree with that.
See,
the same way with what is it? The Sword of Truth. You guys know that what is it?
Yeah.
That series.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, well, I had noticed him. I had Killer 8000. Thank you for
Robert
the super
Jordan Jr.
I had seen you post it a few times in chat. I have nothing. I didn't read the books or either one of these series, so I don't know much about it. So I didn't know. It was one of those. I had unfortunately have nothing to say about it. So I'll take your word for it. Obviously, maybe it's a discussion you could have with Salty. I guess you have trading views, which is fine. Like, look, and I guess I don't know. I don't know why we have to. I mean, I guess we don't have to say it to. We'll see you later, Lyle. Man, thanks for coming, man. I know you got to go to work, so
Love you, brother.
I don't suggestion. We're all glad to have you in chat, dude. Don't take these things as we're just discussing, man. And sometimes your discussions, your comments lead us down a rabbit hole, man. They're not necessarily directed right at you, buddy. So don't take it. So please don't take it personally because we're not doing that. So I promise you. So have a good night. Have a great night at work. I know that's where you're going. But me too soon. So thanks for coming. But I don't know, what was I just saying? So I just got streamer brain. Where was I going? Oh, I just don't know about the I don't know about this, but the Killer 8000. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. And I don't know. It's one of those things. I try not to be disheartened about a lot of this stuff, but it's really getting hard, and it's one of those. I'm sort of glad that. Well, not sort of. I'm glad that the Rings of Power stuff is finally going to be coming out because I'm just the lead up. I mean, it's the strangest thing. It's like for the longest time we had nothing, right? It's like what's going on with the Rings of Power? What's going on with the Rings of Power? What's going on with the Rings of Power? We finally get a trailer. It was panned, and most people, didn't like it, right?
Yeah.
And now it's sort of been overload. We get scenes on whatever show that was of bad dwarf acting. Then you get, you're getting all these interviews, which is makes sense. Obviously, they're leading up to the show, but it's just like it's been so saturated now with just Rings of Power. I'm ready for the show to come out and for us to decide, which it's most likely, at least from what I've seen, and I think most of what we've seen is going to be bad. But I just want it to come out so I can say definitively, look, there it is. It's on the screen. Does that make sense to you guys? Because it's just sort of like I don't know.
It's exactly like the election cycles. You get so close to it that you just want it to be freaking over with because you're just on overload with it. You're dreading the actual event. You're dreading the lead up to it. Things are just driving you nuts because you just hear all of this propaganda on one side or the other, and you just want it to be done with. And then then we'll have the process of going through the show, just like going through the election, where everything doesn't freaking end. And then you'll finally have maybe a little bit of relief about it before we then get Amazon Wheel of Time 2.
Yeah.
Electric
But
Boogaloo.
but Balefire in the chat, she's absolutely right. It's they want us to lose hope with all this stuff, and
they want us to then just give in.
Yeah, and
Just give in.
Yep. But the whole thing behind that, though, is that by the time you get to the shows, what we still have right behind us on our bookshelves is what's the important thing, and that's where we fall back to all the time. While the fight is frustrating, while what's getting presented is irritating, we've got something so much more greater that we can actually involve our minds in and just bury ourselves deep into, rather than some mindless element of a TV show.
They're controlling the narrative. We've seen a lot of that since March 2022. Controlling the narrative so that we're on our backfield reacting. I'm not a racist. I'm not going to kill grandma. I'm not this. I'm not that. And as a result, they are making us dance to their tune.
I'm not going to kill grandma.
Well, you know what I meant. Like I know, 2 weeks to slow the spread, you know?
Okay. Oh, okay. Sorry. It took me a little bit to catch up to that one. So, yeah. So, I don't know, man. I would like to. I know a lot of people think that. I don't know, man. I know we're getting some gems in here mixed into this stuff, but I know a lot of people seem to think that the tide is turning a little bit here. I don't see it yet. I mean, I see a little bit here and there, but I feel like there's been these shows here and there that have been okay throughout all this. I don't know that we have this big shift yet.
Can I show? I want to validate Nathan's point. Look what I got.
Oh, nice.
Hell yes.
Are we
And
doing book porn? Are we doing it? Everyone's breaking theirs out.
look at this. These
I
are
don't have any.
leather. The dictionary of
Oh.
Tolkien. The Atlas of Tolkien.
Nice.
I'm not going to go through all of them. That's Tolkien. That's Middle Earth. What we're getting here is essentially like Beyond Meat. We're being fed something that doesn't have the nutritional value, that's not meant to sustain us emotionally, spiritually, but it has the appearance of being edible. Instead, it's a
The Possible Burger Media.
bioengineered, it's a bioengineered thing that actually stuffs up our system, makes us sick, but we get to feel what? Virtuous because we're not missing out on something. Like all of these things, guys. Like I'm kind of over it. You know what I want? I want my real meat. And if it's here and if it's in the Peter Jackson movies, that's where it is. And I'm not going to consume this crap. I'm not going to give this a separate watch. I'm going to watch this with at least 4 other people. So that's 3 or 4 views of this show they won't get from all of us. Is that vindictive? Yes. Yes, it is. But it's also because what power do I have? I'm nobody. They're a transnational corporation. Regardless of how many videos we all make, how many videos is made by much larger channels, they're still controlling the narrative. Nothing can stop them. What can we do? This. We can do this.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, right? I mean, it's like, I know there was the whole pay with your wallet or speak with your wallet type thing, and I get that to a point. But for something like this, it's like Amazon. How do you speak with your wallet to Amazon? Everybody has Amazon Prime. Almost every. I don't want to speak for everybody.
Hell
but
yeah.
But almost everybody has Amazon Prime because, well, that's the world we live in right now. You need something fast, you order through Prime, and you get it the next day. It's just a convenience thing. So, it's like, I think the pay with the speak with your wallet thing was, I guess, a way to. It didn't work because we're not going to movies. We're not going to nobody's going to the movies, and they're still making all this crap. I'm seeing pages. Are we matching pages? Is that where we're at?
No, we're just showing Tolkien because Chuck Dixon
Faithful
didn't change
adaptation of
anything.
Tolkien.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's what we got the Wheel of Time, comics too, right? I haven't got to really see them in depth, but I know that those are pretty faithful too. So.
Nerdporial, I do have that edition, but I only bought it for research purposes because I wanted to find out if they were going to have appendices of the show.
There it is.
Okay. I did buy it, but it was for research purposes, and no, I at some point
and he
I
felt
will
dirty about it,
give
guys.
it away. No, but because remember this came out, we didn't know what it was going to be, and I thought, oh my god, they're gonna rewrite stuff in the back. They didn't. They literally just put their cover work on Tolkien's book. It's more identity theft, dude. More identity theft.
Skin suit.
What did I lose here? Oh.
So are we going to watch the actual trailer?
I don't know. I mean, we were talking about going for an hour, right? And it's been an hour, and my stream.
Let's switch to House of the Dragons so that Press B can just friggin' hate on
rage on it. Yeah. So here. So I have that. So what am I? So I got to get rid of this. So yeah. So let's end with that since most of us, I think, obviously Nathan hasn't seen it yet, but most of us on the panel enjoyed at least the first episode. So let me see if I can get to it. I know Nerdporial in the chat enjoyed the first episode as well.
So if you guys haven't already seen it, Nerdporial Lifeform. That's the host there for I guess a good portion of us on this chat.
Right.
Looking at the House of the Dragon, and he did a great job. I mean, honestly, that was a superb job hosting that and kind of running that breakdown.
It moved pretty well most of the show. Absolutely.
Yeah, so what I do want to point out real quick before we watch parts of this is if you look at the ratio real quick too. Now, I know it's not nearly as big as the Rings of Power, but you got 42K upvotes to 3.6K downvotes, 2 million views.
But they got more. Yeah. They got more. It's just, but look at the numbers, the ratio, 2 million views to get that many upvotes. Now, some of those could be bought. Let's be really clear about this. But then it's not 10 million And the 10 million views that Amazon got, it's not even the same amount from the, well, it's a little bit higher, but just something's wrong with these numbers on Amazon.
Well,
There really
well,
is.
the upvotes for this is still higher than all the upvotes they got
Yeah.
for the whole,
Yeah.
for the Rings of Power.
Yeah,
Well,
it
and
was
that
only 30 something, right?
It's 31.
and that just that speaks to the grassroots of Tolkien fans who want faithful treatment to the material,
Just
and
fire and
that's the thing
brimstone.
is, yeah, Amazon bit off way more than they could chew when they decided to mess with Tolkien.
Sorry, Nerdporial says they put the trans in transnational.
That was good.
Yeah, I had
Never
that-
change. Never change, Brian. Never
Yeah, I
change.
know somebody
Yeah.
who hosts an after show. You're right. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
we
a good
mentioned
one.
you already.
It's a good one.
Sir. Yeah, there's some handsome fellows on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thought that was just interesting. I don't know how, but it's just the fact that the ratio is completely the opposite way. Me and Pips were talking about it earlier. This is a weeks ahead trailer, so this isn't even like the episode 1 trailer. This is like something that you could have probably seen after watching the episode.
Mhm,
So I
mhm.
really don't know how many people are coming to YouTube to watch this weeks ahead type stuff. Maybe there's more than I thought, but the fact that you got 2,032,000 upvotes to the ratio is completely flipped to something like Rings of Power. So I think that speaks volumes to the reception of the show so far. Obviously, not everybody likes it, but I think a mass majority right now, episode 1, is enjoying it. Right?
Yeah, and you should restate what we did, which is the minute this thing goes off the rails, if it turns into a bait and switch, we're both going to go off
Absolutely.
in a second. In a
Oh,
second.
I don't think
You
there's.
know?
I don't think there's any, and I think that's why it's. I think why we're going to have fun doing the live watch together, whether it's on my channel or your channel, because, I think that was the most interesting part about it for me, anyways, was just even watching it back, watching how we started, which was this is going to be garbage, and just completely changing our mind throughout the whole episode. So so let's take a look at some of this shit. All right, here we go. I guess I need to unmute it, huh? All right, here we go. I still think the dragon looks cool. The dragons, I think, all look cool. I don't know.
My blood.
Wow, this looks like a fantasy show.
I mean, that's a cool shot right there. Is that like a chasm? I don't know what the hell they're doing, but
I mean,
This is the first time I'm seeing this, by the way. I don't know about
oh, you
anybody
haven't
else.
seen it at all yet?
No.
I mean,
Wheel of
nothing-
Time, that would be a closet.
You just took it. You just took it. You just took it. Literally. There's nothing like this in the Wheel of Time in Robert Jordan's world. It's basic bitch. It's basic bitch. It really is.
Oh boy! All right, so here. Okay, let's get off the closet screen.
Come, prince that was promised, and his will be the song.
I love the skull. I'm sorry. Every time I
dude,
see
it's
the
badass.
giant skull, I
Badass,
love
yeah.
the giant. What this is the oh, so good, so good. All right.
Ice and fire.
I know that's the line that a lot of fans are upset about is
The Ice and
the
Fire thing?
inclusion of the song of Ice and Fire and that line in this time period. There's people saying like that's a break from the canon, right? That shouldn't have been in this time period. But
Yeah, well, I get
it's fan service. I mean, it's flat up fan service, which is better than what we're getting with Rings of Power, which is fan disservice.
Yeah, I mean, if there are people that troubles them with lore, I understand that. I mean, again, my weakness in this is that I don't know all this prehistory stuff. I don't.
Yeah.
So they may be right.
Well, it get me
You know?
they could, I'm not, yeah, but my it is a history pretty much, right? So I feel like they have to try to make a season worth of hour episodes. I feel like they have to fill it in with something. So
Gotta spice it up.
Yeah. So all right, here we go.
The burden of this knowledge
It's so cool.
is larger than you.
That was a different dragon than we've seen before.
I think you want to go back to it. I don't know.
It's like a
think
sea
we saw-
dragon.
I think we saw 2 different dragons. I think they're completely different.
So look, that is
Yeah.
2 sets of wings. That is we have not seen that type of dragon before. That's
pretty.
Looks
cool.
like an eel. It looks like definitely like a
I was
sea
gonna say
dragon.
like a sea dragon or a sky eel or something like that. The typical ones we see in Game of Thrones, I think, are actually not actually dragons. They're worms, because they don't have front legs. They have wings that have claws on the end. A dragon should have 4 legs and wings, but neither here nor there, I suppose.
Give me 1 second. Hold on.
That's some
You're so-
nerd shit there, Pips.
I was gonna say, man,
that's W.
Jesus.
That's WY worm.
Oh, I
To be
know.
fair.
I know that one.
To be fair, my wife actually pointed that out to me. So
Wow.
I'm only
Oh,
nerd
sure,
adjacent.
yeah.
I'm only nerd
Put it on
adjacent.
her.
Wow.
Wait, what happened? What did I miss?
I-
Sorry.
Why isn't she on this live stream? Why are we talking to
Right.
you, man? You're not the
It's a
nerd.
wavering. Is it a
Because she's
wavering?
way
Yeah.
prettier than the rest of you guys. And
Oh
you know,
well, I have no doubt of that. I have no
Yeah.
doubt of that.
I mean, she's got to be. She's not on Wheel of Time.
Oh.
Man, we are. Oof. All right, here we go.
looks like Tad already corrected me.
It is larger than the throne.
They keep showing the knife though. I like the fan service bits. I wish they'd get rid of some of them.
It is
Like,
larger than you.
I told you how I think about Easter eggs. I think Easter eggs are the lowest tier of sort of, production. Hey, look at that guy.
Where are the characters named Rowan Wade that apparently are having a fight that they've
Oh.
been talking about in the media?
Brian, first of his name is here. How are you, sir?
Somebody laughed. At least somebody laughed.
I
Oh,
laughed.
yeah.
I was laughing on the inside. I was just looking at Brian down there, staring off into
Oh,
nothing.
yeah.
So,
He's bringing sexy
Brian?
back.
he is.
Bringing sexy back.
What's up, my dude? You're muted. Learn to YouTube. Oh, well, your mic's off. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right. He gave me the middle finger, I think. All right, we'll keep going. Just tell me when you're here. There's some Matt
King
Smith
chose the
action.
mirror. The realm will not accept her.
Men would sooner put the realm to the torch.
That looks so cool.
That's
sorry.
amazing.
That's a good looking scene. Are we going to be?
We've seen this shot before.
Have
This
we?
shot we've seen before.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming we're going to be. Do you think they're going to be jumping around age, or do you think they're going to do it or do you think we're going to be bouncing back and forth between the?
I think there's going to be a time skip.
Is it going to be a time skip?
Hot, you got a hot mic, Brian. Hot mic.
You're a
What do you
little
mean?
loud, buddy. You're
What do
a
you
little
mean?
loud.
I am.
Yeah,
It's a
That
little
means
round.
it's too loud. Hot means too loud.
a little loud. I'm gonna mute you for a sec. All right. So we.
Am I
don't know this
wrong? I think we've seen this scene in the previous trailers.
Probably.
Yeah,
It's
I've seen it.
possible.
Them
It's
on
possible. You seen
on the sort of wall with him holding the sword. I think we've seen it.
it? Okay. Well,
It's still a good looking shot. Like
I hadn't seen it, so here we go. Let's keep going.
And see a woman ascend the Iron Throne.
So like those are the lines that are gonna piss people off, and it's one of those. It works for the story. So that is the story. Is she's the heir, and people are gonna be pissed off about it. So I don't.
People said she
Hello.
looks like a frog.
Okay.
People say she looks like a frog. I think she's a very beautiful, exotic looking woman. You know?
She doesn't bother me. I don't know.
I was a lot more worried about that line before we saw the show
Yes.
than since.
Yes.
I think that it's historically correct. It's correct within the lore that generally it is a patrilineal society, at least in Westeros, right? So the idea that men inherit from men is correct in the lore, and it's correct in this specific story as well. But I was concerned when it was featured so prominently in the voiceover on the trailer. And hey, if it's a bait and switch and we see that it becomes what I was concerned about originally, like you said, Steve, I mean, we'll be the first to admit it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that the line that was just said is not so concerning as the line before that when it was said, men would rather see the world burn than a woman ascend the Iron Throne. I think that line bothers me as opposed to what was just said, because you're right, the historical context does matter, and I don't know any of this stuff at all, and I haven't even seen the first episode. But when I was watching the trailers before the show started, it was the other line that kind of got my cackles going.
Yeah, no, and I get that pre-show. Now that I've seen that, if you haven't seen it, I could understand why, especially in this day and age with everything we're dealing with, right? But it is definitely what the show is about. And when you watch it, you can see that the line makes sense for what's happening in context of the plot, right? So, Brian, you good? Raporo, you good?
Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, you're much better. You're good. All right, cool. So,
I will be queen of the 7 kingdoms. When I am cold in my grave.
Dreams didn't make us kings.
Oh, whoa! Is that so? She is Preggers? Is that the same girl, the redhead?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
No, we were talking about that before. So that's
Oh, yeah.
Is that what pops off all the bad blood between the two girls?
Yeah, the Allison Hightower is basically, so she marries Viserys. She marries Viserys and she has 2 kids, and her older kid is who goes to war with Rhaenyra. That's
Okay.
ultimately.
Oh.
So this was a scheme on Otto Hightower's part.
Right. Well, yeah,
So
we're
going to
It's
see
working.
that play out more.
Yep. Oh yeah, we saw that start in the first episode, right? Yeah.
Yeah, when she had him going to his bed.
Yeah. Go take care of the king.
The people remember the ancient strength of House Targaryen.
No king has ever lived that hasn't had to forfeit the lives of a few to protect the many.
That was a good line. What is that?
That's that looks like crucifixion almost.
It's
That's a big nail through
Burnt.
somebody's
They're
hands.
burnt. Dragon attack.
Is it Dragonfire?
I'm not talking about the Queen's song either.
The what?
It looks like a nail has been driven through somebody's hands.
It looks like
but I
a
could be
nail,
wrong.
and it's definitely wet. So, but I like the line before that. No king has ever, lived that basically had to sacrifice, people. I thought that was a good line. I like Right. What is his name? Rife Irons. Is that his name? I always think about the replacements when I see that dude. This guy. Where is he?
Do you think that's kelp kind of? I guess actually that shot right there makes sense. It probably is because it's near the coast. Okay.
Yeah. So that's why. Yeah. So I think right on all accounts, fire and water.
You
Right.
to protect the many.
Protect the many. That was that. Is he short haired?
No, I think it's behind his head.
It's just behind his head.
The wig.
Oh, okay. Bad wig.
You are a plague.
Our houses are bound by a common cause.
Whoa! Look at that dragon.
That's cool.
That's cool. Is that her dragon?
Perhaps.
Yeah, I think so.
But there will be
I thought hers had kind of more defined horns.
Oh,
What's that? Oh, hey. What, did somebody say something? Did I miss stopping it? Sorry. All right, here we go. Look at that thing. Whose dragon is that?
I don't think we've seen that one yet.
That's a huge mamma jamma. Look at that guy.
I think,
Holy cow.
maybe Damon.
I was
Yeah,
going to
he
say,
has
unless
one.
it's Damon's, because we did see that at the very end, and it might be his.
The question is, when you saw that line of fire go down, it made me think of, Robert Duvall saying, "I just love the smell of napalm in the morning."
This line of fire right here.
Yep, that
That
line
one?
of fire.
So I don't know. It's one of those. It's like, what do you stop it? Stop screwing off, buddy. Sorry.
Now I got a clip. Now I got a clip idea. Now, won't tell you what it is.
So, wait. What? What happened? Sorry, I'm dealing with now. Go away, you. Go away, shoo. Sorry. So I don't know. It's just I watched. Now we didn't get to watch. Of course, we were gonna watch the Rings of Power trailer and then watch this just sort of side by side to see. Well, not side by side, but one after the other. But I've watched the Rings of Power trailer, as most of you have, or probably all of you have. I just find this whole thing more compelling and looks a lot better. And now, of course, now I'm biased because I watched the first episode and liked it, but it just looks more interesting and looks more like a world I want to watch what's going on in. I don't know. What do you think?
Do you think maybe it's because we've seen so many seasons of Game of Thrones that we have like a standard? We have like a high standard, good visual effects, good CGI, good set designs, good costuming.
I never watched it. I never watched Game of Thrones. Not one episode, not 1 minute, Brian. That's the value that I bring. I'm the normie. I read the books only. Now, I've heard all of the bad things about Game of Thrones. I heard some of the good things about the first 4 seasons, but I've never watched it. So I came into this expecting garbage tier, and I was very happily didn't get that, So that's my take, at least.
Press B for Balefire says nobody seems to know the lore.
I don't.
I'll be honest, I forgot a lot of the lore because I haven't read Song of Ice and Fire in years because, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not convinced that George is going to finish.
Nope.
I did research today, Sothorios, the evil continent, the evil disease, monster-filled continent that's supposed to be based off of Africa, believe it or not.
Now, I don't know the lore because
That's not going to be adapted that way.
I don't know the lore because I stopped reading any of Game of Thrones because George R.R. Martin's not going to finish. So I stopped reading it. So that includes the book he wrote before, the histories, which is this. I don't know it, but that doesn't discount me from liking it for the reasons that I'm liking it. Now, I understand why you don't like it if it's a lore standpoint. I get that. But I don't know, like, it's one of those areas where it's like, I don't know how you could be angry at this the way you're angry at Wheel of Time, and maybe you can explain it to me because I don't see it. It's one of those, maybe it's not following the lore word for word, or it's missing. Maybe it's missing a lot. I don't know. I'm not saying that I know it because I obviously don't.
I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I've talked to her. She's a Discord member with us, and we've had her on as a guest before. So I've talked to her a little bit about it, and it seems like she. So I think she said she'd put it at like a 6 for the adaptation and like a 7 as just a standalone show.
No.
So like favorable as just a show, right? A 7 out of 10 is like tentatively it's a decent show.
What's a 10? What's an 8? What's a 9? What's a 5? And again, I'm not in any way being disrespectful. You've introduced that assessment, and now I'd like to hear the rationale behind that assessment because I think your point is fascinating. I presented the criteria for me that I judge shows, and that is consistent across the board. I will use it for the rings of diversity and representation. I will use it for virtually anything that comes out from a streaming standpoint. That's why I liked Stranger Things season 4 so much.
Look, and I just levels of passion is great. That's why we're all here. And it's good. It's like I love talking about this, and that's part of what's great about doing this stuff is having these discussions and it's like. And it's all good. That's just and it doesn't even sound like from what Pip said. If what Pip said is accurate, I don't think you've shat all over it. You just don't like some of the things they've left out. I think, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
See. So there you go. Thrones. So Game of Thrones was about 9 out of 10 for the first season. So that gives it. So I think that's a very, and you haven't seen it, Salty, but that gives me a good springboard because Game of Thrones season 1 was very, very good. So
that's how I judge the book, the first book that I read. I thought it was a 9. I thought it was a 9 out of 10. I really did. Subsequent books after that lost me as it went on. So
really, you didn't like Storm of Swords? Storm of Swords is probably the best of them.
This is why we're nerds. We don't all like the same things, right?
Now, spoilers. I stopped at Storm of Swords because of the Red Wedding. It drove me nuts. I couldn't.
It was a good book, but it was dark. It started to go down roads that I, as a reader, I just could enough with the rapings and mutilations and castrations. Like I just was like, I'm going to go back to Terry Brooks, and I went several books beyond that. But again, it's so subjective when it comes to that, I think B for Balefire does have a point with lore. And that's why I respectfully asked, and thank you for answering. That makes sense.
I'm curious. I read some of the chat. I'm curious what the issues you have are when it comes to lore.
She said that she's coming from a writing standpoint, and it'd be hard for her to list them all just because she's a writer. I think did you say you were a screenwriter at one point and you stopped because of all the BS going on in Hollywood. So, I can respect that. My big question for her is if you were put in a room and you were given 2 choices, put on Wheel of Time, put on the first episode of House of the Dragon.
Like I said, you had Michael McKelliton in the first episode of Wheel of Time. That was probably the only part I liked. And then it got boring after that. And I just stopped watching.
They misused him completely. But So
I think I'm not defending House of the Dragon, and I'm not challenging you at all. Press B, prevail, fire. I think comparing anything to the Wheel of Time is dangerous because the Wheel of Time was not an adaptation. It was fundamentally was not an adaptation. From everything we've seen with the Rings of Power, I think I would put $10,000 on the fact that it will be in the same vein. This is not an adaptation of Tolkien's world. This is a story written by Payne and McKay that has some character names from the appendices. It's not an adaptation, you know?
Well, it's funny because it's like, so I mean, I don't know, maybe now that we're watching it and enjoying it enough, maybe I should pick up Fire and Blood because I find it interesting that it makes me wonder if any story beats are being played out, and it's just some of the bigger ones aren't, because you got two Amazon adaptations, fresh retellings is better to say, that have completely just shit all over it, just thrown it in the trash. So I'd be interested to know. I mean, I guess that's where I'm interested. Is this doing the exact same way, but I guess in a better way as a viewer of this show, or is it at least hitting some of the story beats? I guess that's my biggest question. I don't know.
Is it the same type of unfaithfulness that we saw with Peter Jackson, with the same intent in heart of honoring Tolkien? Because that's kind of my barometer for a lot of these things. You know, there's a great deal of subjectivity in liking anything, whether it be girls, boys, what you want for dessert, what car you own, what color you paint your walls, right? And fantasy is no different. I mean, I have Piers Anthony behind me, Terry Brooks, you know, Tolkien. We all have things that we like that other people would try and pick it up and read it and go, that's not my thing, right? And I'm not defending a billion-dollar media corporation. I'm not. I'm just saying, for me, that one episode of television was pretty darn good fantasy, and I'd consider myself above normie level, having read the books. You know, it's been a long damn time since I've read what this was based on, years, and I have given up on George R.R. Martin. I don't like the author of this show, but yet I'm looking at it and going, this one episode of TV was pretty good. You know,
and I think there's probably, we mentioned this before, there is an effect of standards having been lowered to the point where like this just isn't insulting me as a viewer. And that is apparently a good thing now, right? So I think that it's fair to say that we're viewing it charitably, with a hope about what the next, what it might turn into, right? Because all of us said we're going to hold off real firm recommendations or real firm decisions until about episode 4, because we want to see what it does, right? And I think that it's one thing to say that I think this is everything that I wanted, versus I saw a lot of things that I like. I saw a few things that maybe I wish they could have done a little bit better, but overall, I think it was a solid performance. It seems like they're trying hard to make something good, which I normally give a lot of credit to somebody who I think is actually making a good faith effort. And like you said, Salty, Wheel of Time was not making a good faith effort. Rings of Power has given me nothing to make me think that they're making a good faith effort. So far, House of the Dragon seems to be trying to make a good faith effort, and I'm willing to give a fair amount of latitude until I see what that good faith effort develops into.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens after the 3rd episode. Is it perfect? No. Is it great? No. Is it pretty good? Because that's the place where I'm at. It's pretty good.
And
you know,
so I just wanted to, before, because we're going to finish up here because Zach's is going live.
I gotta go,
and you gotta go, and I know, but I didn't watch the commentary because I don't want to really hear what they have to say at this point. I don't know. It's one of those, I don't want to ruin it. It's one of those.
It's like winning the lottery and tearing the lottery ticket up and saying, "I don't believe in gambling." It's
besides
like, what
for being besides for being in a hurry to get to the after show on the Royals channel, I didn't want to watch it because, anytime you open an article or anything, you hear anything House of the Dragon, it's them saying something stupid, and it's like, just shut up so I can watch the show and don't taint it for me. So I don't know. So maybe, I don't know if it's worth the watch. Maybe I'll go watch it, but I'm afraid to watch it because I don't want to ruin what I liked. Maybe if it takes a strong right in episode 2 or 3, I'll go back and watch it, and it'll give me some context. So,
there was something I did want to bring up if I can.
Yeah, real quick. Please.
So you said earlier that, and I've seen this too on other streams, that some fans were not happy about them revealing the Song of Ice and Fire thing. Well, Daenerys in a vision in not season 2, in book 2, they left it out of the show, but she learns about the Song of Ice and Fire from a vision of her brother Rhaegar. So I think this was something that was going to be revealed in either Winds of Winter or a dream called A Dream of Spring, which is book 7. And I think that was what was meant to be the big reveal, like at the very end of the story, which of course, Game of Thrones didn't cover. So they're basically throwing in stuff to get more book fans to watch this show by sprinkling what was supposed to be in A Song of Ice and Fire.
And it's very hard to judge an incomplete series and its lore, right?
Salty's got to run. We'll see you over at Zach's.
See you guys.
Bud.
See you.
Yeah, we'll see you later, bud.
Take care, brother.
So I think the point you're making there is really important, because it's super hard to judge lore accuracy and all this stuff when the author is involved in the making of something and the author hasn't finished his work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some of the things that people are looking at and saying, like, well, this hasn't been established in lore, this is creating something new. Like you said, if it's something that the author fully intends to have in the next book and is just trying to sort of tease here or something else or tie together, like, ultimately it's the author's work. And I know, I've discussed this with some of the people on our channel, and I've disagreed with people in the past. I give a lot of latitude for an author to sort of, shit in their own sandbox, I guess. Like, if they want to mess up their own stuff, or if they want to retcon things, or if they want to, based on what they think is going to be popular, change and add something in, it's their story. And we haven't actually seen it even finished yet. Whereas with Tolkien, we've seen everything Tolkien is ever going to write. And so if you start putting new things down on page, we can call you out immediately and say, that's not Tolkien. So I think it is a different situation to be in.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the other big thing. At the end of Game of Thrones, one of the biggest criticisms I had and everyone else had was the lack of any questions answered about the White Walkers. Where do they come from? Why did they choose that time to invade? And who knows what other questions there were. And what did they do? Well, shortly after the show ended, they announced a prequel series that was almost greenlit. It was called Blood Moon, which was supposed to take place during the Age of Heroes, which probably would have been their way of answering the questions about the others, or the White Walkers, which just pissed me off when I heard that. And that's what I think they're doing with this House of the Dragon. And yeah, like you said, Pips, it's the author. I mean, authors are doing that now. Look no further than Neil Gaiman, who said, George R. R. Martin is not your bitch.
Well, who knows if? Yeah, well, who knows if? I don't know if how much he's involved or not. He's probably just taking naps or playing badminton in his backyard instead of writing. So who knows? But
I think he's really the puppet master behind House of the Dragon, because all those details that I saw in House of the Dragon were things that were never mentioned in Game of Thrones, but were talked about quite a bit in the books. Like, especially where you're sitting on the Iron Throne, you're getting stabbed.
My thing is this: is maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But the fact is he going? How long until he gets bored? And then it takes. If he's heavily involved, and that's why we liked it. Great. He's going to get bored. That's part of why I hope he's not involved, because that's just how he is. He gets bored. Go ahead, Nate. What were you going to say?
It's just about how often and regularly he gets paid.
Right.
I think he's a guy who clearly follows whoever's writing a check to him.
Yeah. Well, that's absolutely. I think that's without a doubt. And of course, he's proved it since he hasn't written a book in 12, 15, whatever, how many years is. It's disgraceful.
That's amazing how long it's been.
It's disgraceful.
It's unreal.
It's disgraceful.
One of the things that I thought was interesting, I saw a little short video earlier today, had some of the cast members and the showrunner on the red carpet, and they're like, well, what do you think people are going to love most about the show? And every one of them was like, oh, well, it's got to be the dragons. That's what they're looking forward to. I mean, who doesn't look forward to dragons? And I'm sitting there thinking, you don't give a shit about wanting a good show, a good story? It's So I'm not totally sold whether or not this episode is good or not. I haven't seen it for myself yet, but I'm not totally sold that they're going to stick any sort of landing on this
Oh,
whatsoever.
I don't think look. There's plenty of time for them to fuck it all up, like 100%. I like I've said it many times. I like the one episode. Episode 2 could take a sharp right turn and be hot garbage, and we could be having a whole nother discussion Monday or Sunday night on your Portal stream.
I'm just looking forward to the episode where they start talking about healthcare for all.
Yeah, well, since abortion was touched on, right? Oh my God! But
all right, Steve, we talked about that. We said we're going to bring it up. Are we bringing it up?
Go ahead. Just before we go ahead, if you want to, real quick, just before we take off.
First of all, the two of you guys, I already talked to Steve about it. Did anybody else see those takes online about how the first episode was a pro-abortion episode? Did any of you guys see that?
Oh, yeah.
Can I just ask a question for the chat, for the panel here? What are we supposed to take away from a conversation with a person who watches complications during a indisputable full-term pregnancy? Like this is a 9-month pregnancy, right? What are we supposed to take away from that person when they see that and they think we should be allowed to abort this? Like, hey, you know what? People live your own lives, do your own things. It's it's obviously it's a debate that people have, but if you're on the side of at 9 months abortion should be an option, I don't understand where we go from there. Like that is clearly a human. Like I just
it's they had no way to save them. They had no way to save the queen.
No. It was Middle Ages and the pregnancy was breached. She was dead regardless.
Yeah, it was either both of them or just her. So the king had to make a decision, and it was the show said it was the hardest decision he've ever had to make, and he chose the child, and unfortunately the child died anyways.
And they treated it well. I thought they showed him really anguish over the decision. They showed him broken afterwards,
and they didn't tell you the kid was dead. They showed the little body on the pyre right next to hers, and it was
and then they showed his face and just the brokenness of the guy, right? Like I thought they did a good job with it. I mean, sure, we've talked about this. She should have been knocked unconscious before that scene, but the fact that people look at this and talk about abortion is disgusting to me personally.
But honestly, I mean, maybe he should have told her, and then she probably would have panicked right away, but then they would have given her time. I don't know. I don't know how much time they would have needed.
She would have made the same choice, and I think that they should have given her the choice. That's, I think, what should have been.
Well, the problem
in the show.
That was the one thing I did not. I was like, okay. Once I saw the way she reacted, I mean, it's fear. I understand that, and just the way they carried it out, I agree. Is with Press B, it could have been done better.
Not telling her the fact that she was conscious during it, that was all super screwed up and was done as a shock value.
Yes, not telling her was wrong, but he's the king. He's going to make in that era. He's going to make the decision. Now, should they have knocked her out? Should they have told her what was happening? Yes.
Absolutely.
But I mean, he's gonna if you think anybody's going to make that decision other than him at that point,
but the
way they handle it,
to make this whole thing retroactively about abortion was absolutely a disingenuous statement from the actors and the producers, considering they filmed it how many months prior to that. And so to sit there and say that on the heels of the Roe v. Wade discussion, it absolutely creates such a cognitive dissonance that there's no way that what you presented in episode 1, from what I've heard everyone talk about, is presented as a pro-choice story. There's absolutely no way to finagle your way to it. And they've had all these little behind the scenes discussions about how childbirth is just this incredibly violent thing. And it's like, well, it's not violent, it's graphic and it's difficult. But you can't sit there and say that it's a violent thing just because there's blood, but all these things they're trying to put out there from their own talking head points of view to get their perspective across, to sit there and say, hey, this is our agenda with it, even though the show is not even presenting anything close to the sort.
I think you're, look, yeah, I think the king could have sat down and just said, "Look, this is the situation,"
Mhm.
you know,
Well,
and
it's
just
probably a
laid.
discussion they would have had before that,
Well, maybe, but I
way
mean, it
before
didn't seem
that.
like from her. Probably maybe, but from her reaction, it was just for shock value. Everybody said it, and that's right. It was
Mhm.
just for shock value. It could have been handled in a better way, but to make that parallel is ridiculous. So
I think William Richards making a good point there in terms of the timeline of this. It's like you said, completely disingenuous in their part now,
yeah.
and it's not only disingenuous. I think that trying to make the stretch to make it applicable, to use the Rings of Power term, is honestly it's disturbing. It's disturbing to me that somebody could look at a full term baby and think and just even have that thought enter their mind instead of just being shocked by the horror of the situation they're watching, the trauma of that. Like there's lots of thoughts that you could have, there's lots of emotional responses you could have. I just don't know how you get to that point.
It just made me
Especially
dislike
in the
it.
historical context.
Yes.
Yeah, it just made me dislike the characters more. It made me dislike both the king and the queen. The queen.
You mean the way they did it, or the way people
Well, yeah, the
responded
way
to
they
his
did
death?
it. Like,
I agree.
I know they're trying to make them more, human, and to, humans would fear, dying. I mean, of
Well, I mean,
course.
he just look, man. It's hard to put that on the queen. Look, man. It could have been like you just said, okay, I'm gonna kill you so the kid can possibly be born. I mean, your initial state of it's not like okay, it's gonna be like you're gonna kill me. What the fuck, right? Um,
I don't
but
think that's
do
the
I
way it would have happened. I think
do I ultimately think she would say okay, whatever we need to do, my child needs to live. I think that probably would have happened, but um, I don't know that made me hate her.
Nothing
Just fear.
inspiring. It just makes you dislike. It just makes you dislike the situation.
Well, well, of course.
And it's just like
Oh, yeah.
why? I mean, it's just like why do it that way? I mean, just why?
I
do
think
it
you're
that
right,
way?
though. It does make you dislike the king in a scene where it seems like they tried really hard to make you empathize with him. They put that in there in a way that made him seem bad, right? And I think that it would have hit a lot better. The message would have been received a lot better if they had his anguish. And I think somebody in the chat said something similar. If they'd had him dealing with the anguish and ultimately her kind of reaching over and saying, hey, harken back to the earlier conversation, this is my battlefield. In battle, sometimes people die, right? Like if she had
Yeah.
if she had basically done the self-sacrifice, the 300 Spartans at the hot gates, and like, but the battle's going to be won even if I'm lost. And then it would have made it even more tragic after she knowingly sacrificed herself and then the baby is born and ends up dying. That would have been like crushing for the audience who watched that, where the king hesitantly gets convinced by his wife to allow her to do the self-sacrifice that he would have done in maybe other contexts, in protection of the realm sort of situation, right? And then her self-sacrifice doesn't even earn anything. Man, that would have been like a stake to the heart. And instead, I think they bungled it for, like Press B said, the cheap drama and shocks.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the reality of that's why we're so critical on so many shows now, because of this level of writing. It's just the way they depict characters. It's just like you don't
right.
like them. They're making characters more and more unlikable every year. I mean,
They
if it
are.
wasn't for the fact that I actually was entertained from this episode, and I felt like I was in the universe. I wasn't being taken out of the show as much. Whether Press B would disagree with me on that, but that's beside the point. I still, despite that was the one thing that took me out. This scene was the one thing that took me out of the episode because of all the discussions and yeah, I totally agree about because they filmed this back in 2021. They wrote this back in 2020. So this was So Nathan, you're absolutely right. Like they're way disingenuous about.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is potentially what this does, and this is cynical me putting my hat on again, is white man keeping the woman down, not giving her the option, not caring about her at all, and they want to paint him in that light so that the audience doesn't like him either.
Well, I mean, I don't think I don't think he came easily to the decision. but I get what you're all saying.
Right. But people can take a look at that whole situation and come to that conclusion too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. I again don't disagree, but I think we've all agree it should have been, it could have been, and should have been handled a little bit better and differently. So, and I don't think, but that being said, to then equate it to something that has nothing to do with just to get your 5 minutes of fame and to get your headlines out there is the shit that's going to bring this fucking show down for a lot of us people that are giving it a chance. You keep that shit up, you're going to fuck it up, and stop it. Cut that shit out.
Well, let's see what they do with it.
Yeah, so we'll
yeah,
see.
I like how they said, "Oh, the red wedding was for weddings," as this was for.
No, but yeah,
blah,
it's
blah,
just
blah.
all disingenuous bullshit, and it's just like, stop, just cut it out. I'm done with it. I'm
Shut
not
up
going to
and
read any.
act.
Just shut up and act, and yeah, exactly. You guys aren't fucking brilliant people. That it's just ridiculous.
You're good at pretending.
Yeah,
and that's
some of you aren't even good at that. So, but yeah. So we've been going for over an hour and a half. At least most of us. Reporto, thanks for jumping in here at the end.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I was kind of, I wasn't sure if I was going pushing boundaries by asking for a link and everything.
You know me, man. There's, nobody watches this except for the diehards, which I appreciate everybody in the chat. Thank you for being here. Press B, been here the whole time. Thank you so much. Apollo, I know you hopped in and out a few times.
She's fuming.
William's been here the whole time too. I don't look. I think her points are well taken. I hope she feels that way.
I've had some good conversations with her. She has some very well reasoned kind of points on this, and I think that it's important to remember that like a lot of the people who were critical of fans of the Wheel of Time were making sort of similar arguments, like, oh, they're just small changes to the lore, right? I think that the difference is that as the Wheel of Time season went on. Is that we saw? Yeah, I know.
Small changes to the lore. Are we going there?
We're not going there.
2.5 hours. Small.
This is the Whitecloaks channel over here, right? I know that's bullshit. I'm just saying that was their criticism. Okay.
Small changes to the lore.
The point that I'm making is that is that
I'm not talking about. You know what I mean? Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Dang it, Steve. The point that I'm making is that. Even a lot of us on Whitecloaks, right? A lot of us gave the show at least a couple episodes before we were like, you know what? Screw you dudes, right? Like this is intentional subversion, right? And so I think that while I think that there's a lot of latitude for people who have a real heart for this lore and this story to have their disagreement with it, I'll never disagree with their ability to say those things. I, as somebody who is not as passionate about it, I've read most of the books, but not all this stuff, that I'm going to give it a few more episodes, just like I did with Wheel of Time. Now, looking back, I was an idiot for giving those episodes to Wheel of Time, but I'm going to try.
No.
So,
look,
not an idiot. You're just giving it the honest effort.
There you go. I look, and I was there with I had those discussions with my brother a lot about Wheel of Time. He was like, well, this, that. It's like, I don't understand you at all, but we can have the talk about it, right? So, you want your thing to be right, and you're willing to give it some leeway to hope it gets there. So it's one of those, Wheel of Time never made the turn. Maybe this will get more lore accurate for some of the people that want it to be more lore accurate. Maybe it won't, and it'll just be entertaining for us people that don't know if it's lore accurate. I don't know, but I respect everybody's opinions on the matter, and I can get, because I was on that lore side of things with the Wheel of Time. I can get where they're coming from. I'm not in that place, so I get it. So yes, I'm suffering. I don't know for your sins, but I am hot as freaking hell.
Suffering for mine.
For yours.
I was gonna say he doesn't know the length of the sins that are being suffered on behalf of. Otherwise, he might not have signed up for that.
I didn't say I was suffering. Whatever. I'm suffering for my own sins. All I know is I've gone through 2 bottles of water. I've sweat out about 5 pounds because it's hot.
Well, that's the problem. That's the problem.
Oh
Steve.
my God, Nathan!
You got to go through something stiffer.
I thought Nathan was gonna fall out. Are you gonna fall out of your chair, my man? I don't.
Oh no.
Gosh,
I'm down to
wait
half.
This is starting to look like a rewatch.
Wait! You said that was bottom shelf earlier. Red breast?
Oh no, I switched over.
Okay. was about to say, like, you're out of your damn mind. That's not bottom shelf.
No, the Redbreast 12 is some good stuff.
Yes, it is.
Oh my God. All right.
Cask strength is really good stuff.
Oh my God, we're on about how.
Speaking of
We'll save
speaking
that
of
for the
speaking
green
of
room
Steve
after.
sins, really quickly, I think I know which sin it is. Coveting thy neighbor's house.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I
Coveting
wasn't
thy
gonna say, I
neighbor's
wasn't gonna
AC.
say I'll show my kill.
I think Easton broke the air conditioner on purpose. He's freaking give me a. So, all right. So let's wrap it up. We've been going almost 2 hours. Pips, what you got going on? Next rewatch. What's happening, sir?
Yeah, we're gonna film a rewatch this weekend. We're hoping to get a special guest here. I don't know if he's replied back to me or not, but I think either we'll have one guest or we'll have another. But we're doing the rewatch as always. We just actually Press B in the chat was our guest for this week. She is she's a real pistol. So anybody who likes the heat she's been putting out can go watch her 2 episodes of the rewatch this week, and hopefully watch all the episodes of the rewatch. They're all great, fantastic. I know Steve's like, "Don't do it; they're terrible."
No, I'm shaking my head at Trip, man. Everybody.
But yeah, so we got stuff. We're always coming out with new random content things, mostly the rewatch, but sometimes other stuff. And
You talking about rewatch of Wheel of Time?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh no.
It is.
Yeah. Oh no is right.
My liquor cabinet has turned over a few times since starting this expedition.
It is.
So I'm sorry. What do you stream again? You stream reaction to the rewatch, or is that just like, or is that,
we do kind of like an EFAP style review. So we play it, and I do a Mystery Science Theater sort of a little overlay, and we sit there and just talk shit about the show. It's honestly, I told Salty earlier, he was like, "Yeah, you guys are doing stuff," and I'm like, "Hey, we're just a bunch of drunk idiots having a lark," and the fact that people tune in is still shocking to me.
Do you have any videos for normies like myself when it comes to Wheel of Time?
We have a couple lore videos. We're trying to make more. So we have a few on the books. We're trying to make a few more, and then we have a couple live streams. But we started the channel doing the rewatches, and we're only now kind of branching out into other things just because we have the interest and the time.
I got a lore video for you, buddy. Read the damn book, you lazy guy.
Which book?
He's got to start with. He's like, I'll reread Eye of the World. It's like
this book.
Reread it and then we'll talk about it, bro.
But I can't read. But I also need to read Fire.
Oh, you're talking to Brian.
Read.
I was like, I got all the books right here. What are we talking about?
I can't help it. I can't help it. I'm busy.
Brian, no, I know. In
Brian
fact,
is busy. He's
I'm
got his Zelda stuff coming out.
I'm pretty sure you just released something that took like hours upon hours, didn't you? What did you just release?
It took me about 9 days.
It was pretty good, even for a normie like myself.
Oh, thank you.
I got to get watching that stuff.
Well, what was it? Tell the viewers. Your Ocarina of Time Part 2 just came out, didn't it?
It did. So I've been working for like the probably last 2 months on this Ocarina of Time retrospective. If you don't know Ocarina of Time, that is the first N64 Legend of Zelda, first 3D Legend of Zelda. And the way the story is told, the way the gameplay is designed is totally rewarding. And like the end of the game, the final boss with the music that sounds like Gregorian chants is probably one of the most epic. And I was like, holy crap moments. It was like the anticipation built and it delivered. And so I'm on part 3, which is covering the final part of the game. And of course, all of my takeaways and any supplemental stuff. And you know who was a big fan of Zelda and named his eldest daughter Zelda?
No, not me.
Robin Williams.
I knew that.
And Robin Williams did a commercial for Ocarina of Time when they remade it for the 3DS.
I'm
going to include that, and it's going to be my own little tribute to Robin Williams. And of course, all the fact that I forgot to mention this in the retrospective, but when I was a kid, everyone used to say I used to look like Robin Williams all the time when I had, full head of hair and everything. So
maybe from what is that? The photo 1 hour photo. Are you 1 hour photo, Robin Williams?
I saw 1 hour photo. That's a great movie. It's a effed up movie, but it's a creepy, great movie. And he's a fan. In that movie, he gives the kid an Evangelion like model or something like that.
See, Brian, we're friends, so Brian will let me poke fun at him like that. It's okay.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate you, buddy. So check it out. It's good stuff. Amanda Manetheren, what do you got going on, man? We haven't
Oh.
talked in a while, man. We got to do this more.
I know. It's been a minute.
Been a minute.
So right now we're just doing D&D on OBG70's channel on Wednesdays. Corey's live stream on Tuesdays. I just dropped a video yesterday with the subliminal messaging behind the last Rings of Crap trailer. That I just kind of noticed in just what the words that were spoken during the trailer. So it's tinfoil hat type stuff, maybe, but
hey,
it's really the message they're kind of pumping out there anyway, in all different other forms of media.
Right on.
Yeah.
So maybe one day we'll actually watch that trailer, Pips. Maybe we'll have to record it. I mean, well, no, that's where we were going to start with that, but then we went off like everything, sharp right turn.
You made me throw up enough with watching that other.
Gosh, that was so bad.
This right here.
I can't.
Oh, don't you asshole!
This right here.
His dialogue is so bad.
Oh, give me a hug, give me a hug, What a gay man! I mean, look at that is a gay man if I've ever seen one right there.
A very happy match. Shut up.
The dialogue is so bad, guys. Like we made jokes about like One Tree Hill and stuff like that with the Wheel of Time. That dialogue is
that was One Tree Hill level dialogue. Holy crap!
It's so bad, dude.
I'm just saying
bad.
that dialogue was worse. That was worse than One Tree Hill level dialogue.
This show could be competing with Wheel of Time for the most nonsensical, we're just going to say word salad at each other.
It's
type of dialogue.
It's so bad.
Like,
it's going to be.
I don't know what offends me more about that clip. The fact that I can easily tell that is not either one of those actors' actual voice. Like they're putting on a fake voice, which is super frustrating as something you're supposed to watch, right?
Worked up the courage to court me proper.
She just like what the hell is that?
I can see where you're coming from.
All I hear is a Scottish Chihuahua going off in the background.
I know. If I have to watch episodes of that voice, I'm gonna literally shoot myself.
Oh no, she's barely in, even though they have her in the front for the marketing campaign. She's barely in the show.
I can't wait. My wife's family are all Scottish. Press B's pointing out the fake accent. I can't wait.
Worked up the courage to court me proper.
Steve, I'm gonna fucking punch you in the mouth.
All right. We'll end on it. So thank you for everybody. Thank you, Zax, for becoming a member. I appreciate it. Zax is actually going live right now with the I think he's live right now. He's been live for a little bit with his Arnold tournament of champions thing. So go check out Zax. Thanks for becoming a member. Thanks to all my members. Alexander, I know you were here at the start of this. I appreciate you. Press B, thank you for being here the whole stream. I know you said, what was it, William? I know you said you weren't here the whole time, but you were making some great comments, my friend. So I appreciate you adding to the chat. Lyle, while you were here, thank you for being here, man, as always. And until I guess the next time we figure out we plan on streaming and not doing anything we planned on, I guess. Well, if we got some of it in, right? So
it's a standard Prophet of the Dragon live stream, guys.
Yeah, now we just got to get it routine so we can get more viewers. But thank you everybody that was here. I appreciate every single one of you, and thanks to the panel. And until next time, guys, thanks and all hail the Lord Dragon. We'll catch you guys soon.
Hail.